to do a fundraiser this weekend for the honor flight, and I was asked if I could do my airborne impression. I said sure. And then a few days later I got a text saying, hey, don't you do 82nd Airborne? I said, yep. They said, is there any way you can cut your 82nd Airborne patch off and put on 101st Airborne, simply because we have a veteran who served in the 101st at the event? I said sure. After all, this isn't the first time I've done this. And I don't know if you guys can see, but there's outlines here where I've cut off my 82nd patch, sewn on a 101st patch, cut off the 101st patch, sewn on the 82nd patch, and I'm starting to get a lot of holes, details, and stuff in there. And so I remembered when I was doing the last event where I cut the 82nd patch off, and I sewed on the 101st patch in the parking lot of the event, Ted said, hey man, in situations like that, I think you'd be better served if you used fabric tape. And I thought about it, and to be honest with you, my ego got in the way. It's like, whatever, I'll sew it on. I sew on all my patches. And so I thought, you know what, why fight it? It's going to be for one weekend, quick event. Why put additional holes in my jacket here? So I'm going to put on this patch using the dual-sided fabric tape that you can purchase from Michael's. I'm sure you can get it at Joann Fabrics as well. So I'm going to cut off a strip here about the length of my patch. So we want a couple of strips roughly about the same length of our patch. I would suggest you hold it by the side of the tape and not the front. So we have it. Just going to apply it to our patch here. You guys can hear the birds in the background. That's exactly why I do podcasts at 9 o'clock at night. Okay, so I have it all over the back of my patch here. I want to straighten up my sleeve. Do the one finger roll here. Press it on. Put my hand up beside the sleeve here. Okay, so now I got some loose corners here, so I'm just going to cut little pieces and stick it in there behind the back of it. They do make another version of this product called glue dots, which I guess works pretty well, especially with these little corners. They just peel off in little circles, but I'm just going to make my own little glue dots here. Take this tape, cram it behind there. So what's happening is the cloth, the back cloth of this patch is actually sticking to the uniform. Oops. I'm gonna let that dry. I'll come back later and see if there's any more corners. Now, would I put this on my uniform for a reenactment where I'm wearing this all weekend, putting on gear, falling down, running through the fields? Probably not. It'll probably peel off. But if you're just doing an 8-hour stint at a museum, at a fundraiser, and this is a one-day event, I think it'll work pretty well. And so if you guys are looking for a quick way, a quick non-authentic way to apply a division patch for an event at a museum or at a fundraiser, once again, something where you're not going to be actively running around doing a reenactment. More importantly, I think if you're slinging a gun over your shoulder, you're taking your web gear off and on all weekend, I think that'll become problematic. I think as you pull your suspenders off and on and your haversack over your shoulders, I think it might make contact and rip that patch off. So I don't think that would be the best use of that product. But once again, if you're just putting on a haversack, your web gear first thing in the morning, and you're going to do a quick 8 hours at an event, Bob's your uncle. And you can just throw this in your haversack, and if you need to reapply, you can. So as you see, I mean, I don't know if I would do this in a battle situation, but for a living history situation where you're doing a one-off for the weekend and you're just walking around, I think it looks pretty good. Obviously, you don't have the benefit of having the fancy sew job, But considering that you want to temporarily put a patch on, I would say the double-sided fabric tape is the way to go. I got a little glob right here I can clean up. But yeah, I'm happy with it. I did this a few days ago before we did the jacket. Want to make sure I knew how to do this before I try to do it on video. So if you guys are looking for a easy, quick way to swap out a division patch for a one-off event, and you want to minimize the additional holes put in your material from sewing, cutting off, double-sided fabric tape you can get at Michael's or Joann Fabric, anywhere, works pretty good. I think it looks pretty good and didn't take long to put on. Last time I sewed this on my jacket, I did it in the parking lot of the event. Fun.
All right. Otherwise, I can hear. Can y'all hear yourself? Yeah, does that sound all right out there?
So here we are. It's after the event. Really didn't do anything crazy with the shirt. I just had it on underneath my jacket all day. But you can see it's already lifted up. So this is definitely not a solution for a reenactment situation. I think I should have put a little more tape under there, but from a distance, all in all, it worked pretty well. Once again, good solution, maybe not, I don't know, but the shirt looks fine. But let's look at the jacket. So here's the jacket, and I did have to put some tape on it. It is starting to lift from putting my gun on my shoulder all day. What I should have done was remove this backing from the patch, and it would stick a lot better. So if you're going to do this, go ahead and remove this white backing from your patch. Put the foam tape directly on the patch. And furthermore, I think this would be a good hybrid time-saving solution. So I would put, if I were to do this again, I think I'd put the tape on the entire back, and then I would just sew a little spot here in the corner. So maybe that little spot there, and like, you know, maybe a little section there. Just maybe sew 2 spots there, a little spot there, and up there. That way you're not spending the entire time sewing all the way around like you would, because after all, you're going to cut this off again, because the whole purpose of this was temporary. So fabric tape by itself, even in a living history situation, I would say yes if you're wearing like a Class A, or if you weren't going to sling a rifle over your shoulder all day or put on your web gear. But web gear, rifle coming off, it just grabs it. This is a good hybrid solution. Do it if you're going to, you know, do it one day, but I would definitely put a little bit of thread on there just to hold it in place and do whatever. So there is a temporary solution for a temporary problem on your uniform.
This has been a Digital 410 production.